Only last week, I murdered a rock, injured a stone, hospitalized a brick. I'm so mean, I make medicine sick.
What's up, fight fans? This is Kirk DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Carl the Cobra Froch. Get this. Carl Froch says that Joshua and Wilder should retire. Damn. Joshua and Wilder have been criticized by Carl Froch for doing absolutely nothing lately in the sport of boxing. And this is what he went on to say. He said, quote, I don't see why these fighters need to carry on and destroy their legacy. I don't think these fighters should be fighting anymore. He points out that Wilder's fading power and Joshua's recent struggles, including the stoppage loss of Danny Dubois, is proof that the heavyweight scene has moved on, and Froch argues that chasing one last payday with Joshua versus Wilder doesn't excite fans. It only underscores that the era of the heavyweights, or those heavyweights, are over. And let me counterpunch. No, Carl, I think that if you're going to leave, if you feel they should go, why wouldn't they leave without one last show? Bars. I mean, we've always wanted to see a Joshua versus Wilder fight. And I just say, just make it happen. And me personally, if the objective is to see AJ versus Wilder, I think a lot of people would still watch that fight if it's made. I think what it is, it's people are so fucking sick of the idea of them fighting that it's really not something that people want to be teased with no longer. You know, nobody wants to hear about a possible fight. They want to hear a fight being made, and then we'll see what it does. You know, I think that fight's very marketable. You know, AJ all needs to happen. Wilder needs to win again. AJ needs to win, period. If he wins his next fight, AJ, Wilder wins his another tune-up fight. You know, ask the Francis Ngannou fight. I think that fight could happen. That's what I think. I think that fight could happen. But everyone's busy doing their own thing like they've been doing for the very longest. You know, Wilder came up short just like AJ came up short. AJ couldn't fight Fury because he lost to Alexander Usyk back-to-back. Wilder couldn't fight Joshua because he lost back-to-back. So they're in the same boat. So I just think they just need to fight. I think they need to fight. I think, you know, the Al Heyman build-up method is probably over. Just, you know, hit the cancel button, make the fight happen, and see who wins. You know what I'm saying? I think because at this point, I do agree with Carl. They have faded a bit. They're not the same as they were 5 years ago. They're not. But the fuck, who is? You know what I mean? It's just like, it's boxing, bro. It's a brutal sport. It's a sport that you lose your life, your eyesight, your hearing, your mind, your life. It's what it is. It's boxing. It's the sport that I love, that I hate so much, right? So, yeah, I think, these guys should just retire. They're ruining their legacy. I mean, you know, at some point, you have to understand that legacy, you know, a lot of people said that about Roy, but legacy is defined by the fighter. People will look at their legacy and people will see, oh, my God, you know, don't take another loss. But it's like this. Shit, if you gamble winning, you're also gambling with the idea or the reality of losing. You know, and I don't think they should retire, both of them, because if they're going to retire, why don't they retire each other? Make a 2-fight deal, $20 million apiece, both fights. You know what I'm saying? And see who wins out of those two. If AJ beats him back-to-back, it's over. If Deontay Wilder beats him back-to-back, it's over. It's over. If they're 1-1, they'll just be 1-1 and done. You know, but yeah, the legacy part, I think that these guys are trying to make that if you're going out of the sport, you should know what is the risk of fighting again. You know, nothing wrong with one last payday. That's just like, hey, yeah, you can retire a week early. You know, no, I think I want that extra check. if you were working a 40-hour work week, right? You know, now I'm going to work that 40 hours and get that extra check. Shit, I'm retiring anyway. So yeah, I'm going to get that extra money. I'm not going to wait for the pension to start when I can know I can make a real check next week or one last one. What is it really going to hurt? It won't. It won't hurt anything. Because if their legacies are already in question, what difference would another loss be? Probably be a nail in the coffin, but at the same time, they're still getting paid and they're prize fighters. That's exactly what they do. They fight for the prize. They fight for the money. Okay? Even though I think AJ's set, but Wilder, I don't know about Wilder. You know what I'm saying? So I think that for the generation of those fighters, I think we need that fight. Because we haven't even had Joshua versus Fury because Fury got out of the game, you know, being Tyson being Tyson. But, you know, all bullshit aside, we at least need to get another fight. Imagine this. Imagine if Muhammad Ali never would have fought George Foreman. Just Frazier versus Foreman. You know? Imagine if we wouldn't have had no Frazier versus Ali. You see what I'm saying? If you look at those three fighters, George Foreman, Muhammad Ali, and Joe Frazier. Imagine if only one of those fights happened and the other two that possibly could have happened didn't. It would have been an incomplete era. And I think this is an incomplete era that is fading by. And I think something needs to happen before it fades completely out of the picture. Get the fight on. You guys tell me what you think of Carl Froch stating that Joshua and Wilder should retire. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.